it'll play it.
Morning has broken, my windows are open. Wanna feel the wind blow through my hair. Which way do I follow? What happens tomorrow? I turn to you and hope you can guide the way. Sometimes I give up, just wanna be on my own. Even in the darkest times, you give me hope. So I lean on you when I've lost my way. I keep holding on for a better day. I lean on you when the world's astray. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer. In times that are changing and when hope is fading, I know I can turn to your embrace. 'Cause there's so much beauty under your heaven, and I'm grateful every day. Sometimes I give up, just wanna be on my own. Even in the darkest times, you give me hope. So I lean on you when I've lost my way. I keep holding on for a better day. I lean on you when the world's astray. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer. I lean on you and I've lost my way. I keep holding on for a better day. I lean on you when the world's astray. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer. I left my heart open so you hear my prayer.
Hello, everyone. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Hello, Duchess, Nicole, Arctic, Mr. Nice Guy. You can stay gone, by the way. But tonight, I have a very special guest. As most of you know, I've been covering my uncle's murder. On September the 10th, 1987, my uncle, his girlfriend at the time, and two men went on a cemetery. He didn't come off the cemetery. There was several stories given. The people changed their stories. We went through the crime scene photos. And tonight, his daughter, Lori, I'd like everybody to put hearts in the chat, make her feel welcome, is going to give us her opinions. Say hi to Lori to everybody. Introduce yourself.
Hi,
honey.
everyone.
So I imagine, because I know it's been rough on me, that this has been hard on you.
Hard is not the word I would. It's been life-changing. I mean, no closure is the hardest thing that I've had to deal with. Trying to, you never know. I mean, you don't know what happened. There's nobody, in jail. There's nobody paying for taking my dad's life. So it's a constant, everyday thing because we do not know what happened. We do not know for certain who killed my dad. So, yeah, it's definitely been hard.
So watching uh, the live streams that I've had on here, has some things been come up that you didn't realize, or some things that you had forgotten, anything
Oh,
like
yeah,
that? How has that been?
that, just watching your podcast, I would sit just like last night. I watched, I didn't join when you all were there, but I watched later. And I mean, some of the things that you guys would bring up, I would be like, that I hadn't even thought of that. And it's opened up so many different things of me trying to figure out and put together what and how and maybe who. And it's amazing what you're doing, and it's helped. It's hard, but it helps. And last night when I
Thank
saw
you.
the pictures, and I saw, you know I had gotten all this stuff a long time ago, but time has went by. It's been many years. And then it's the things that I saw last night was like, what is this? Do you just go out and take pictures of a mountain or leaves? I mean, what? I don't even know what all that was. So
That's how
I
I
don't know
felt
how they can call
when
that evidence.
me either. That's how I felt when I looked at the pictures. And I mean, I didn't say this last night, and I don't think I've told you this yet, but it wasn't until I took and lined KSP's research notes that I had got through a FOIA request where they did the investigation up with the pictures. I'm going to be honest with you. When I first looked through those pictures, I thought Marlo's car was Uncle Ball's.
Yeah.
Until I lined it up, I didn't know which vehicle was which. And
Well,
to me,
to
that's
look at
something
the
that should have
cars,
been
you would
obvious.
think to look at the cars, you would think that the white car is the car that he was murdered in.
You would.
I mean, that with all the blood
Now,
in that car.
um, last night, also, I was talking about a picture that, and I zoomed in on the mirror.
Yes.
You did you think that was Jean?
I immediately I immediately knew who that was. Immediately when I saw it. It was Jean. I mean,
In your opinion, because like you said, none of us really know what happened. We can only go by what we are seeing, what they are actually allowing us to look at, which is blows my mind because, well, you saw the pictures, but
mhm.
do you think Uncle Ball was murdered on Ninrally Cemetery?
I do not. I absolutely do not. That, in my opinion, looks like a staged. It just looks staged. I mean, like I told you earlier, if someone had went there and they were committing, well, they did commit a murder, okay, but they don't grab the shell casing, and it's right there. But they grab a purse, they grab beer. I mean, and Dad's car, the pictures of Dad's car, it does not add up with the pictures that I saw. The amount of blood on his clothes, it just does not add up. So, no, I do not believe he was murdered on that cemetery.
Um,
Do I
Give us
do
an
I
idea.
have
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're fine. I was just going to say, do I have my own ideas of what happened? Yes, I do. I absolutely do. And I think all three of those people were involved. You know, I had seen a lot as dad, between dad and his girlfriend. There was a lot of fights, a lot of, I mean, you know, alcohol. There was a lot of different things that I think could have led up to this. But all in all, I think this was mostly about drugs, about marijuana, possibly. But I
And
don't know. Just
Uncle
thought
Ball didn't smoke marijuana, did he?
he did not. No, my dad drank beer,
And
but
that was it.
you
Even
know, did
even
he?
the
Did
toxicology, that's all it showed.
yeah? Did he grow marijuana? Yes, he did. Everybody
Mine did too.
at that time, I think, grew marijuana. Did my dad steal? Never in my life have I heard of my dad stealing anything. You know, and they said he was going to steal a marijuana patch. I mean, that to me was an absolute red flag to start with. But, did the police find a marijuana patch on that cemetery? I saw no proof of that. I saw no pictures of that. If they were there to steal marijuana, surely the state police would have found the marijuana patch.
You would think.
You would think.
You know, I've not even seen any documentation showing that they looked for a marijuana patch to find. Um,
No.
Another thing
You
is
know,
in this case, they called a state trooper instead of calling, like back then you dialed 0 and they would put you through to where you needed to be, because this was in
mhm.
87. Um, to have an officer's number, to me that says quite a bit. It says you're either an informant or you've been in trouble and you know them pretty good. And the excuse that they give in their testimony, now I'm not speculating here, it's in the court documents, was because they thought he was a nice guy. He was pretty fair. Um, what? You're thinking of who the nice guy is when a murder's happened? That don't make sense.
Crystal, none of it made sense at the time, and it still doesn't make sense today. I mean, even though I've watched your podcast, I've read page after page of testimony, and you know, all of it was just, I mean, it was a joke. I sat through some of the trial. Of course, they put me out of the courtroom because supposedly I was supposed to have been called as a witness for Marlo Brock, but I was never called. And anyway, they finally let me come back into the courtroom. And some things that I saw that went on during that trial was just, it was a joke. And you can't tell me
Um,
that no
During the
one
second
knew.
trial, Lori,
Mhm.
you were there, right?
Yes.
What was half of the jury doing?
There was two of them sleeping. Yeah.
Two jurors sleeping, and they didn't dismiss them. But he
No.
got a second trial because of a juror.
Yes. He got a second trial
Um,
because one of the jury remained on remained as a jury person, and they knew Mr. Brock. They owned a building that I'm not sure how Marlo was related to Flossie Brock, but I think they were through maybe
Nephew,
marriage.
n-
I'm not
nephew,
sure.
nephew
Nephew?
is what it
Okay.
states in the paper.
Okay, then they knew that she rented that hair salon, that building that Marlo had supposedly broken into just a little while before. So, and how did they not know? I mean, when they arrested Marlo for murder, they should have known his record. They should have known everything that he had on him. They should have known that he had been arrested just a few, probably a short few months before for breaking into that hair salon. It's a small
Well,
town, Crystal.
you
You know
know,
it. It's a small
oh yeah.
town. Everybody knows everybody there. Everybody in that courtroom knew that that juror owned that building. There is no way they didn't know.
Are you comfortable with me showing some of the photos tonight? Because there may be some people in the chat that wasn't here last night, and we can just
Sure,
kind of
that's
go through them and see what we think is odd about it. If you're comfortable, I don't want to do anything you're not comfortable with.
oh no, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. While I'm getting them pulled up, um, just a second. What kind of you know Jean personally?
Yes.
Other family members has told me I was 8 when Uncle Ball died, but other family members have told me that she was a horrible drunk. That she would get drunk and start a fight.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much what you witnessed?
That's the woman that I knew. Yes. And I mean,
And
I've
it
seen
was
it. I've personally seen it myself where she would just, I mean, she would just reach out and she would slap or hit or punch. I've seen her do that to my dad, and he punched back.
um,
I mean,
it was rumored that her and Marlo ended up having a relationship.
well, that
Is
was the
that correct?
rumor. It was definitely the rumor. My dad was arrested. And from the rumor mill, which you can believe half of what you hear and half of what you see most of the time, but that was the rumor that they had hooked up. Yes.
So, I mean, I
Whether
just
it's
wanted
true
everybody
or
to know,
not,
that it was a rumor. It did go around. Whether it was true or not, we don't know.
yes.
But that was said to have happened. I'm going to start showing my screen now. Um, if you see anything, just cut me off, cut right in. It don't matter. Anything that you want to point out. Now, like I said last night, this at first I thought was blood, but it's not. When I zoom in, you can see this is leaves.
Are they trying to
Very
show how shiny his boots are or what?
that it, girl. We are cousins, and I know it because that was
I'm
exactly what
sorry.
I was thinking.
No, I'm sorry. But, I don't see
No,
anything there unless somebody peed there or whatever. That's a possibility. But I'm trying to figure I'm sorry.
No, you're correct. Now, last night I thought a bunch of the photos was, you remember this grave on top of the hill up here, Lori, that everybody said
Yes.
was an Indian grave. I thought a lot of the
Yes.
photos was took up there, but I looked today, and does it not look like some of them may have been right over here in this area?
It does.
You
Yeah.
see that fresh dirt? Because
Mm-hmm.
from my understanding, Uncle Ball's car was sitting right in here.
Yeah. Well, she's
And
right. You know, they
that
could
would
have
have
been
been,
showing Crystal that there was no blood outside of the car. I mean, it's possible.
well, that's true too. I know
Nice
when
to
I
meet
got
you,
these
Josh.
photos, you all, flies is awesome. And when I got these photos, I was wondering, well, where did they think the crime scene was? Because they're not all at this cemetery. But now I do want to correct what I said last night, because I thought it was all those pictures was inside that grave that was at the top, because it's an open grave. People around here know all about it. Because I do remember Dad saying that he put his hand down in that grave, thinking the gun might be down in there. So I thought maybe they took a picture down in it, but it's probably right over here, because this looks like fresh dirt to me. But I
You
wanted
know,
to
Duchess,
correct that.
that's correct. Duchess said maybe those photos are included to show what was not there. I mean,
That's
it's possible.
my thing is this. If they did
Could there
take
have been
those photos
footprints
to
there,
see what
maybe?
possibility, I mean,
I mean, there's got to be something that they're taking pictures of. I mean, it's either to show there's not blood or to show that a footprint or something. I don't know.
well, now what gets me is in the evidence, and I can pull that up here in a minute. In the evidence, the list that they have, a rolled cigarette was supposed to have been found at the scene. Uh, a beer can that had been tossed was found at the scene. I could see pictures of that being made, but I didn't see no cigarette in none of these pictures that had been rolled. Um, Matter of fact, the only one I see is on this table that took me forever to figure out this was Uncle Ball's house, or where he was staying
Well,
at with Jean. Uh,
another thing I'm trying to
so
figure out is if there were beer cans found at the scene, why were there no fingerprints?
why wasn't fingerprints took of the car? Because there's no documentation of that either.
Well, I mean, I can understand if they didn't do the car because all of them was supposedly in that car, correct?
Yes, but in my opinion, I think there could have been more people up there than just them, because there was a silver Thunderbird
Correct, yes.
that
That was
Lonnie
never brought up
that
in
had,
court or anything.
but the silver Thunderbird belonged to another brother of theirs, of Jeff's. So, but it wasn't brought up in court. The only time you see it is in KSP's documentation that, and it even told who had said they saw it, and it was Lonnie Broughton. He, God rest his soul. He's gone on now, but he used to live in a little brick house right down what, maybe not even
Crystal,
about 1,000 feet from that cemetery.
I believe Josh and Nicole hit it right on the head here.
Let me see
I
if I
mean, I
can
truly
type it
do.
like some kind. Yes, absolutely, Josh. We're not taking it
I
all.
mean,
Yep.
that's the
I
absolute truth right there.
Yep. That's how I feel.
Yeah. I feel the same.
Um and some of these photos I believe that they took just to prove that Uncle Ball drunk. Well, that's not what that case should have been about. It should have been about him being murdered, because this is just a random beer can in a flower pot.
Duchess, to answer that, um, I agree. And the first people to go to the shower was Gene and Jeff. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And they
And
chose
another
to
thing
do
that
that
gets
before
me
calling
is
the law.
yeah, and the state police did not ask about their clothes, never took their clothes, nothing.
It's here. It doesn't
I
matter.
agree with Arctic
Standards.
Fox. It's
Yep.
definitely Barney Five.
Secures.
Yeah. Or,
Yeah. And
this cop was called in particular, so
now I think where they took that picture of that beer can in the flower pot was right here at the bottom here. You can tell I've zoomed in on every bit of this, but this is definitely from where the living room pictures are took, because right there is the radio and the beer can beside of it. It's sitting on a table.
mhm.
Um, there is so many pictures taken at this house that it makes me wonder. And I'm sorry, but I can't help but look at that picture of the table and think, is that blood in the carpet?
You're right,
But I was
Nicole.
too young,
I'm
in my
sorry,
opinion.
Crystal.
Oh no, you're fine. Go ahead. In my opinion, they listen to me all the time. You ain't answer it when you want. In my
Well, I
opinion,
mean,
10 years.
if I, with me sitting over here and listening to you guys talk this out, I mean, it's given me a whole different perspective. It's making me realize things that I didn't even realize or even think about. I mean, this is great to have a group of people that can discuss this because your all's opinions and things about things that we might not even think about. You guys might
Yeah,
pick up on. It's
we have
amazing. It really is.
yeah, we have seen this case for 37 years, from just going from one family member to the other and the documents, but it helps to have people that haven't look at it, and because you might notice something that we didn't notice or that we wouldn't have thought of. So I completely agree, Lori.
Well, with the car,
And Nicole,
when you,
yeah, that's probably what they thought right there. But what they
yeah,
didn't know is we're kind of strong minded, ain't we, Lori?
oh, we
I
definitely
know
are.
myself. I I, I won't give up.
Well, I've fought it for many years, and but
And I'm going to
each and
say
every
this
time
again.
that I would get so far into it, it would it's just, it's very hurtful even today. I mean, you just trying to
Jeff,
pray that he didn't really suffer or just thinking about what he went through before he was even killed. I mean, there was three of them, you know. So, yeah.
yeah,
And back to the car, I saw the pictures of my dad. I saw the pictures of him in that car. I saw the entire side of his face. You know, it those pictures do not and with the type of blood splatter and stuff that was consistent with the pictures does not add up with the car. So,
and on this
I'm
one,
not a police officer and I don't know anything about, but that I do know that with that much blood that was shown in the pictures that I saw of Dad, there should have been a lot more blood in that car.
yes, I completely agree. And for some of the people that nowadays, when we say 17, we think of kids. And I'm going to tell you, that's because we baby our children now. We honestly do. Back then, this is what your 17-year-old looked like. Looked like a grown man. Wasn't no child on the inside playing a Nintendo that didn't know better. This is a grown man back in 87. I'm just going to
Yeah,
say
a
that.
grown man that came to my house, many times, because we kind of felt sorry for him because of the way his mom was, and me being the good person that I am, you know, I was married at the time, and he would come to our home and he would hang out and he would, and even Marlo grew up with him, grew up around him, knew him really, really well. And he called me right after from jail when he was arrested, trying to talk to me. I didn't do this. I didn't do this. No, I don't know you didn't do this. I didn't want to believe that he did. And somehow, right today, I don't believe that he did.
Well, I think in like the first or second live that I did over Uncle Ball, I said my whole life I've been told that Marlo Brock killed Ball. But after reading the court documents and everything, Jean changing her story several times, Jeff didn't even know if that road cigarette had been lit or not. He is the only person that gives a distinctive description of the gun. Even goes as far as to say it was a number 4 shot. Well,
Did
to me, that puts the gun in somebody else's hand other than Marlo.
did Jeff say that he asked my dad for a light
Yes, he did.
for his cigarette?
Yes, he did. Yep. He said that, and this is the order he said he did it in, and I'm a smoker, and I can tell you this is bullcrap. But he said that when that Uncle Ball and Jean got up there after them, and that he had had a cigarette and he had lost his lighter. So he went to Ball to get a light, but went back to the Marlowe's car first to get his beer and was going to go back and get the cigarette lit when he heard the shot. So he threw the beer and the cigarette. Now, if he was going to get a light, he would have lit it right there.
I think that's
unless he was getting Uncle Ball's attention.
He was getting. That's what I was just about to say. I think that's how he got Dad to turn around. He asked for a light.
If he was killed on that cemetery.
Yeah. Well, there was an awful lot of pictures taken of the house, and I don't understand that at all.
Look at this carpet, Lori. Look at this carpet. Uncle Ball was clean.
Can you zoom that in? Yeah, I'm shocked at even that house, period.
See, that to me looks like a blood stain. I mean, I don't know if you know this or not, but Uncle Ball fed them that night. They came there hungry, and he fixed beef stew.
Yeah.
It makes me so angry.
Well, look at there. There's those shoes again. And look at that.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, I hadn't paid attention to that.
Yeah, it looks like a blood stain to me. And Jean said she was in bed when Uncle Ball come in there and woke her up. Well, if they came and took these pictures, that bed is made. It's not been slept in.
Can you zoom in on that?
The last one or this one?
This one.
Is there a particular spot you want me to?
No, I was just making sure there was nothing. Yeah. Okay.
But now that living room, I find suspicious.
You know, I never went
I ain't
around.
gonna lie.
I never went around Dad too much because of her, because she and I just didn't. When she would come outside and see, they lived across from me, not too far, for a long time. And she'd come outside screaming and yelling if he came to visit me, or, just so I didn't go around very much. That's Marlowe's car,
Okay.
correct?
Yes, this is Marlowe's car, and it's the white interior. Um, Shows where they had got beer that day. Evidently, he had to have brakes changed or something.
Can you
But
zoom in on that a little more?
yeah, to me, this vehicle looks more like a crime took place in it than Uncle Ball's. But this next picture is the one that really, because this is Marlowe's vehicle as well. And this is the brown shirt that the evidence thing says that they had collected of Marlowe's. This pillow that he was sitting on looks like it has blood on it. But this right here, what is that?
Hmm. Looks like
And it looks
blood and
like
blood
all over
splatter to
the
me.
door. Yeah, and look, it looks like it's all over the door. Could it be rust? It could be. I don't
It
know. But
could.
it looks like to me, it looks like blood. It looks like to me they tried to hide it too by pulling up the carpet.
Can you bring that up just a little closer to the edge of the car?
Yeah.
Where the white is right there. I don't
Just
know.
tell me go. But see, it I could be wrong, but this looks like metal. It looks like this is after they've towed it in and they pulled the carpet up, and this is what's under it.
Yeah, you're right.
That's what it looks like to me now, in my opinion.
Have you tried to
And
enhance
this
these?
right here, I can put it through Photoshop here one day this week and blow them up as big as you might want them, enhance them as much as you might want them. This right here is the case of beer that Jean decided that she was going to grab that had 2 beers in it. She couldn't remember her shoes.
Yeah, they wanted to get the beer and the purse, but they left the shell casings and all that. Yeah, it makes a whole lot of sense to me.
And I'll show you all where that is what happened. But these are, I'm assuming, Marlowe's pants, because it's the
Well,
description of what they said they destroyed. Now, not only did they destroy the gun,
look at
but
this though,
they
Crystal.
destroyed all the evidence.
Zoom in on those pants just a little bit. You know, I bet you money there was more blood on Jeff and Jean's clothes than there were his.
I would too. Go back to the first picture of the driver's floorboard. Okay. Now, this isn't the vehicle that he was murdered in, Arctic. This
No.
was one of the suspects' vehicle. Ah, that's the back seat. This is the front seat. And you can tell because the interior is white. Exactly. That's why Jean wanted to shower so quickly. Yeah.
Well, it was
Yeah.
told, I mean, right off that she had brain, they said brain matter all
Yes,
over
in her
her.
hair.
Yes. And from the
Now,
pictures I saw of my dad, she was right. It was. It had to have been.
if she was sitting beside of him.
Yeah. But like
Now,
the person earlier said, a lot of that went backwards, probably.
yeah, it would have both. Yeah, but
And
question
apparently
is, why ain't it on the ground?
Jeff Crawford was supposedly supposed to have been in the back seat, correct?
No.
From the
No, he rode
first
up there
story that was
with,
ever told, from the
yeah,
first
the first,
story that was ever told, he was in the back seat.
and then they changed that to,
Yeah.
he rode up there with Marlo and Jean and Uncle Ball rode up there in their vehicle. Um,
Well,
and that he had to go through the back door to get her out. And he said, Mommy, let's go, Mommy, let's go. Um, now this,
what is that?
it's a picture of the front of Uncle Ball's vehicle. And Officer McKnight. And I'm assuming that's that Barnett officer that showed up there that night too. Only it looks like he might be in street clothes. I don't know.
Zoom back out on that, please. Is that vehicle hid?
Well, they're taking the picture from the cemetery looking down because Uncle Ball's vehicle was pointed like it was going off the cemetery, not like it was pulled onto the cemetery. He turned around.
Okay.
I think they're up on that side where the Trents are buried. That's
Mhm.
where I think they're taking
Okay.
the picture at.
Okay.
And another picture of it, but I don't get why. Unless the only reason I could think of that they took these pictures right here is to see if a clear shot could be shot from there. Because when Jean first come out, Jean said that just her and Ball went up there to
Mm-hmm.
steal marijuana. Mm-hmm. And somebody shot Ball and she took off running and hitchhiked with the first person she saw.
Yeah.
And now, Lori, you live down here long enough. You know good and well that if you come off Nan Riley Graveyard even now and try to hitchhike, you ain't probably going to see a car till tomorrow.
No.
When people get up and go to work. So that dog don't hunt. And the officers knew that.
You're liable
so
to see one now quicker than you would back then.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that's my example of it though. I mean,
yeah.
Even now it would be hard to get a ride after 12 o'clock or after 11 o'clock because people's normally in the bed. They work.
Their stories changed so much.
Yes, but I'm thinking that night now that was the story they had been told. So that might be the reason for this picture, to see if there could be a clear shot from this angle. I don't know. I'm speculating.
You know, he was killed 11 days before my birthday. So,
You told me that today. That is
yeah, I'll
that's
never forget that day or the call. I mean,
who called you?
uh, the police. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure who. I can't remember.
I'll never forget that morning. It will stick with me as long as I live.
You know,
The night
I'm
before,
thinking I'm gonna. I'm sorry.
I'd had a horrible dream the night before, and I remember Uncle Billy coming up and telling Daddy.
You know, I just feel
Now,
like it's been this many years. 1987. That's a long time ago, and I'm still sitting here today, and I don't know anything more than I knew then. I don't see any closure in this situation. Most of them are dead. Jeff, he's the only one left. In his life, I don't know what kind of really life that he has, but it's just, I don't know. It was just useless, a useless death. It was just, if it was over marijuana, then, how do you take a life? How do you take someone's life over something so petty, just so useless and so meaningless? I can't make sense of it. I just can't. My dad was not a saint by any means, as all of you can tell. Um, he drank heavily. He had his moments. He really did. He when he was sober, we would he would take me hunting. He would laugh. He loved to hear me sing. That was his big thing. And he was good, but when he drank, he was a completely different person. And I think all of us, sometimes if we drink, we're going to change. We're going to be different people. Not all of us are going to be the same way or whatever, but he had his mean ways. But as far as, I think the only people that Dad truly ever hurt was his own family. You know.
now that is the marijuana that they said was in the trunk. I think it's set up because I'm going to tell you, if Uncle Bob was anything like Daddy, he grew a crop. That trunk would have had way more marijuana in it than that. I think that's just put there.
Well, I mean, that's
Or
just
he was
been, if you
robbed.
zoom in on that, if you can zoom in on that, I think that's just been, you've been around marijuana, Crystal, and so have I. That's just a little bit of weed that's been put there. Do you see any, if there had been a lot of marijuana in there,
It would have been
you would be
everywhere.
seeing, yeah, you'd be seeing a lot more than that. So I don't
And you
understand that
don't.
at all.
I mean, another thing, because I know how my daddy was. Uh, they were around guns. They had always had a gun. I know my daddy slept with a 45 under his head. Would Uncle Bob have had a gun?
Absolutely. My dad was an avid hunter. He loved to hunt. When he would leave home wherever he went. I mean, this is sad to say. A lot of people, back then things were so much different than they are now. He would put his gun across his legs as he drove. And if he saw a rabbit, a squirrel, or what, he would, I mean, that's what he did. He loved to hunt a deer, whatever. He carried his gun. He was never without his gun. Never.
But yet there was no gun recovered from this vehicle, you all.
And Crystal, back
None.
then, everybody carried their guns. I mean, they were like in the back of their trucks, and nobody had a problem with things the way they were back then. Everybody you seen had a rack in the back of their truck, and they had their gun in it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a big deal. I mean, it's just how everybody did it. But no, Dad never left home without his gun. Because every day, Dad, he would not eat without meat. He had to have some type of meat on the table when he ate.
That was Daddy, man. That's just like Daddy meal.
Yes.
It didn't matter what Mama fixed, but he wanted some kind of meat.
There had to be meat. And if there wasn't, he would go hunt for it.
I just noticed this. Does this look like blood in Uncle Bob's trunk?
I don't know. It's hard to tell. Looks like a lot of junk in there.
My thinking is this. We see the back seat. How did that, if that's what that is, how did that much get in the trunk and why? And you all see what I mean here in a minute. These are not easy to look at, even though they're not what I would call crime scene photos. And this is Uncle Bob's car.
See, that makes no sense to me right there. None.
Jean was supposed to have been sitting beside him and actually sitting close to him.
She was not in that car.
Look at how clean this is. And she had brain matter and blood all over.
She was
if
not
she
in
did,
that
it
car.
wasn't from sitting beside him.
Oh.
And the only reason that they think that she was in this car is because her shoes are right here, and you can see them better in the next picture. But they're upside down, almost like they were throwed in there. See? That shoe is upside down.
Yep.
There's no blood on the steering wheel. No, very little blood. I mean, what blood you see here, in my opinion, in my little hillbilly opinion, you could have dipped in blood and just splattered through the car.
There is no way from the photos that I saw, there is no way that car would look like that. There's no way.
Arctic says, no way in heck she was in that passenger seat. I agree, Arctic. And right here is very little blood. Like I said, you could probably took a rag and just put it there, because if you look right here, this right here is not a splatter. That is a smear.
Well, that could have been Jeff if he took her out the back door. If he had to, no. Probably blood on his hands, maybe, in my opinion.
I'd say he did have blood on his hands.
Can you zoom in on that window? What the hell is that?
It's where they pulled the car to. Where was it? Dave said it. That was at Knox Body Shop or something like that.
So they moved the car before they got pictures?
Yes, is what it looks like, because that's inside Knox Body Shop. And then Duchess says her hubby walked her through it with a forensics article on 20 gauge shotgun blood splatter. It was not what I thought it would be, for sure. And there's a little bit of blood here. Now, she said in her statement that she couldn't get out of the passenger's door because the handle was missing on the outside. It didn't work, which I zoomed into Uncle Bob's vehicle. The handle is missing on that door. But she said that she went out the window of the back door, that she crawled out the window. Problem is, when the cops got there, only one window was down, and that was Uncle Bob's.
Yeah.
My
According
daddy
to them.
was told. My daddy was told the day that he went down there, that because he wanted to go on the cemetery, the car was still there, and about halfway up, they stopped and they said, "No, Duck, you don't need to see this. There's brain matter all over the roof. That's something you don't need to see." Now, somebody, and Lori said she was told the same thing, right?
What's that?
That there was blood and brain matter all over the ceiling of the car.
Yes.
This is the ceiling, the roof of that car. Where is it?
Well, one would think. Now, I'm thinking either Dad turned his head to the left when someone was outside his car or someone asking for a light or whatever. So it's just according, I guess, to how he was positioned as to where, like
But my
she said,
question is, why did they lie?
well,
If you have nothing to hide, there's no reason to lie.
they needed time to get their stories straight, in my opinion. So they told whatever they could tell to start with. But in the end, the police officer went with whatever story they came up with last. So
It sounds to me like the police officer helped them get a story that made sense, or they thought made sense, because they weren't good enough to
I
make up
don't
one. And
know.
that's me speaking, not Lori. That's my opinion, not Lori's. Now, this picture creeped me the crap out. Like I said, you look right here. The door handle is missing on the outside.
You're right, Duchess. It definitely is. And I think that second gun that Crystal showed is the gun, because it looked like a double barrel sawed-off shotgun.
And who does that look like to you?
That
Because this is in the
looked
rear
like
view
Jean to
mirror.
me. Yeah. If you zoom on up there just a little bit more. I mean, when I first saw that last night, it looked like Jean to me.
So what did they do? Pull Marlowe's car in at the same time they did Bob's? Because look, right there's Marlowe's car.
Yeah.
But yet they didn't arrest Marlowe at that time.
Zoom over there. Is that Marlo's car?
That's Marlo's car.
Didn't they leave the cemetery in Marlo's car?
Yes, they did.
And they didn't arrest him until what? The next day? Was it the next day or the next 2 or 3 days?
Oh, I'm thinking it's almost a week later, according to their notes. We can look at it
So,
because he's got it documented that he arrested him when they went up there and got the gun. See, there's Marlo's car. And what gets me is this is just a little bit too comfortable to be investigating a doggone.
no, I know, yeah.
Just propped up there.
You're standing next to who is supposedly a murderer, and you're gonna lean up there like,
Yeah,
"Hey, how's your day?"
like you're posing for a Instagram photo. And then it goes back to this. This is what got me. The first thing that jumped out on me is because, like I said, I've been looking into this for years. And the name of my channel is Coldcasecrystal. Sometimes when people talk to me in chat, they put CCC. Look.
Yeah, I seen that last night.
But there is fingerprints on this vehicle in several places. And I know they all admitted to being up there. But what if somebody that didn't admit to being up there, say somebody
Yeah.
that has kids at home, somebody that helped wash mama's hair, I don't know, was up there. If their fingerprints was on it, now ain't that a whole different situation? Because right
It
here
is, but
is
and
fingerprints.
also, if you're standing there drinking a beer can, most likely only your fingerprints are going to be on that beer can. So,
Yeah.
why in the world did they not test those? Did they not have that technology in 87?
Well, they had the technology to test for gunpowder residue because they tested Marlo, but they waited almost 20 some years to do so, so he didn't have none on his hands.
See, there's just so many things. I mean, they
And
took
here's that shell.
picture after picture of beer cans at the scene, is what they call the scene, and not one was taken in for fingerprint testing. So, what did they do? I'm like, Duchess,
Yeah, what did they do? Nothing.
did they not
Nothing.
do anything? Did they just snap pictures of random crap? I mean,
See, and a lot of this is leaves, people. Yeah, I thought that was blood too. It wasn't. That's leaves.
and see,
You see the
there's the shell
stems on it.
casing. There's the
Yep.
shell casing that they left. But they grabbed a purse and beer. Phew.
And who grabs beer and a purse when their boyfriend is murdered
Yeah.
right beside of them?
Well, I might need a beer to calm my nerves.
Yep, that's what she said. Ugh.
Oh, I don't know.
No, they didn't move. They didn't move the leaves at all.
You see that? You see that
The photograph.
beer can? One
Yep,
individual person had his hands on that and was drinking that beer. It had to be one of those 3 people or one of those 4 people on that cemetery.
And I'm still, you see me zooming in. I'm still looking for a rolled cigarette that should be photographed that's nowhere. I know it seems
Crystal,
simple, but
there's a lot of these pictures that's missing. I can tell you that right now because I had a lot of them
well,
myself.
I know like the pictures of Uncle Ball and stuff is missing. My question is, why leave out the evidence photos?
Mm-hmm.
Because they took the picture of the beer can. Why not this rolled cigarette? Because let me tell you something. I know a lot of people say, why are you stuck on that? Because have you ever rolled a cigarette? It will tell if you're left-handed or right-handed the way you get it rolled. And in my opinion, from where that shell is, if he was killed on that cemetery, a left-handed person done it, because a 20 gauge back then that you have to open up like that, and you'll see the gun in a minute, you had to pull out, and I asked several people to make sure I was correct about this. You have to pull out that casing. It don't automatically eject it if it isn't a pump. So look how close that shell was sitting beside that back tire. If he was shot on this cemetery, whoever shot him was left-handed. And
Well,
I want to see the cigarette because I want to know which way it was rolled. Look at that.
well, I think, now I'm not sure about this. I'm not 100% certain, but I think Jeff is left-handed.
Well, the picture looks like he is left dominant. That's in here of him.
So,
in my opinion, I mean, it does. And it looks like if he was shot on this cemetery, that a left-handed person done it, because it's too close. If a right-handed person done it, it would have been further away from that tire. But now
well,
this is before they move the vehicle.
you know, I just don't understand why they left that shell casing, period. I mean, it makes no sense to me.
No. And this is what one photo of the gun. Now, I don't know if this is, let me see here. This one's a double barreled too, looks like. I don't.
Yep.
Now, that don't look sawed off to me.
Nope, that's not. Now show the other one.
18 inches. Okay. This is where Marlo was staying. That's supposed to be where he was sleeping. In this building is where he was sleeping. This is the day that he was supposed to have been arrested. And if this is him, he looks real relaxed. Just saying.
I can't tell if that was him.
Well, some have said it is. Some said, well, maybe if he didn't have the mustache. I don't know. My daddy, that was a no-no. There wasn't no way I'd have been around him. This is the boy that found the gun. He's pointing to where he found the gun. And they gave me 2 pictures of that. So the gun was up and under this, obviously being hid. But when they got there that day, the guy got it out from under his bed, said he had planned on trading it. Then you see this gun that they don't show the whole gun of. Now, I don't know if this is the same gun or not.
Yeah.
But if I'm being honest, almost, is that the same gun?
Can you zoom in any more on that, Crystal?
Yeah. See, and then
Is that
here's
a double
somebody's
barrel?
shirt. Yeah. But the other one was double barreled also. But now it's not a pump. Oh, justice was not served. It was not served. And then what's the point of showing these shells and trying to say that these were the shells that was left behind because Uncle Bob borrowed a gun that day to go groundhog hunting? He wouldn't have had to done that. He had his own guns. Don't know an Abner that don't own a gun.
Well, see, I don't understand why they hid the barrel of that one.
It looks like somebody sitting on a step.
Did it state in there which gun was the murder weapon? Or is that the
A
same
20
gun?
gauge sawed-off shotgun is what the murder weapon was.
Okay, what's the next picture you got of the gun?
This is the only two pictures they have of the gun. That one, and then this, and this other one. Let me see. Just a second. Hold on, just a minute.
Do you guess it's the same gun?
I'm looking right now. I see something on the other one. I want to see it if it's on this one.
No, he definitely didn't go groundhog hunting with that gun. And Dad never borrowed anybody's guns. He always had his own. I don't
Yeah,
understand that
Daddy
either.
did too. I think that's the same gun. The stock on it looks the same. It's got the black on it.
Well, it's definitely not sawed off, that's for sure.
It's not a sawed off. I don't. That's not a sawed off. I'm sorry. It's not. Therefore, there would have been no reason for them to have an order to destroy that gun. It was not illegal. It's not sawed off. The other one had a mark on the butt.
I noticed that too,
Yeah.
Crystal.
Let's see here. See, I was assuming they were showing this because of the statement, and I'll show the statement to you. That he had borrowed a gun to go.
Can you zoom in on the butt of that gun? Mm.
Yeah, this little marking. It had the black around the bottom. I didn't see that, but this right here is what's. I was hoping to see in the other one, but the guns turned the opposite direction. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in that statement, it said that Uncle Bob brought it back, and that to show that nothing had happened, that the gun was in good shape and he hadn't done nothing to it. He shot it and left him with 6 shots. Well, there's 7 here. So that's what
So
I assumed that picture was for.
when did Dad supposedly borrow this gun?
That day.
Well, how did he bring it back? He was killed.
He had borrowed it earlier in the day, and this is Jeff Crawford. Look which hand is dominant to me. It's his left one. Let me see here. Okay. Now, let me pull this up.
Yeah, you could do that, Crystal. You could print those and do a side-by-side comparison.
That's a very good point. I might print them off on clear. That way I can lay them over top of each other. Let me see here, right here. Okay. Officer's notes. Open it up. Okay, give me just a second here. And show. I'm navigating, people. Give me just a minute. Okay. Okay, this is where the confidential informant advised a sawed-off shotgun had been located at, and that's Ike Smith's residence. It's marked out, but I know because it's testimony. By a small boy, and said shotgun was en route out of state, possibly to Tennessee. Arrived at Ike Smith's residence and contacted Ike Smith Sr., who advised his smaller boy, whose name was also Ike, had indeed located a sawed-off shotgun in a junk pile above the residence. Ike Sr. advised Harrison Smith and Jimmy Hickman took the weapon to Knoxville, Tennessee, where Hickman lived. I spoke with Ike, and he advised he found the shotgun in the junk pile. See attached statement, which it has. He stated, Harrison took the gun from him. I photographed the area and sketched the same. Here. Then it goes up to this page. On 9/21 of 87, 23:10 hours, contacted Harrison Smith at Girdler, Kentucky, and Jimmy Hickman's residence in Knoxville, Tennessee, and Smith produced the weapon from under the bed in Hickman's bedroom. Smith, does any of these names sound familiar to you? Because I don't know these people. Stated he had intentions on trading.
I do know Ike and Harrison Smith, but now Hickman, I don't.
Let me see here. I was going to show you where they said that he borrowed the gun. Let me see here. Okay.
Crystal, did you find the date on when the first trial was and how long before the second one?
November of 87, and the second one was July of 88 or 89. Let me see here. That's where they're talking to them. Just a second.
I know there's definitely so many unanswered questions, so many questions that I have that I would love for someone to answer.
Okay. I've got J.C. Smith's statement. I've got Jeff Crawford's statement, Jesse Smith's statement, the property, and Roberts. Is there any one of those that you want to see?
Roberts.
Okay, he says on September the 10th, 1987, approximately 10:45 p.m., Marlo Brock and my mom came to my house. Uh, Jeff, they've got his name blacked out because back then he was 17. Came in while as white as a ghost, scared to death. Then Marlo came up the steps. I asked Jeff and Marlo what had happened, and Marlo said, "You don't have to worry about your stepdad no more." I said, "What happened to him?" Marlo said, "He's been shot with a shotgun in the head, and then he wanted to borrow $2 to get some gas with, and I didn't have it." That's what he says.
Okay.
And
Do you have
you want
jeans?
to hear what Jean said? Yeah,
Yeah.
got her chicken scratch. Let me see her. Bear with me. Around 9 p.m. or 9:30, Marlo Brock and my son Jeff came to my house where me and Otis were. They didn't seem to be drunk, but they had some beer with them. I took my sleeping pill and laid down, and I could hear the three of them talking about stealing pot plants. Ball came to the bed and told me to get up, that I was going with them, going to get the pot. I already had my clothes on. We looked we locked the doors, and me and Ball got in Ball's car, and Marlo and Jeff were in Marlo's car. We followed them in the up in the cemetery. Marlo and Jeff was already there, and Ball pulled up on the hill and turned around. We pulled pretty close to Marlo's car, but his car was facing the cemetery. He's here. Did I skip too
Well, she
much?
sure paid attention to all that, didn't she?
Yeah. Yeah, she knew Marlo's car was facing the cemetery. Let me see her.
I mean, why would
Uh,
she even think that just pulling up on the cemetery? I mean,
uh, Marlo and Jeff was already there, and Ball pulled up in the hill and turned around. We pulled pretty close to Marlo's car, but his car was facing close to Marlo's car, but his car was facing the cemetery, and we was coming back down. So they were coming like back off of the hill. We was just sitting there, and all of a sudden I felt something hit the side of my face, and I heard the gun what explode. Wait a minute, you ain't gonna feel something and then hear the gun shot. That order of explanation is backwards. Okay, she's so full of crap.
I
Anyways,
mean,
I fell over in the seat, and I thought I had been hit. And I looked over at Ball and saw he had his brain shot out. I went all to pieces, and I tried to get the door open, and it wouldn't. I climbed over the seat, and went out the back window. Jeff said, "Let's get out of here, Mommy." And we got in that, and then it's got something scribbled over here. In that, I guess, Marlowe's car. In that car of Marlowe's. I believe Marlowe asked me where I wanted to go, and I told him to the house. Marlowe brought me and Jeff to Robert's house and let us out. And
Okay,
that's that
so
name,
my
T.M.
question,
McKnight.
that the question that I have here is, you just watched Marlowe kill a man, but you go and crawl
Why
in the
would you
car
ride
with
with
him
him?
and take off. Yeah,
Exactly. I've had that
yeah.
question the whole time. Why do you get in a vehicle with somebody that
You know, my opinion is this: they all three plotted and planned, and there's probably was marijuana somewhere, and they plotted and they planned and they did all that they could do, and they killed, died, and they got by with it. That's the sad part. You know, the sad part is they got by with that. But, you know,
absolutely,
I'm a firm believer that they will pay one day, because God, they have to answer to Him. You know, they will definitely answer. It may not be here, and I may never know it, but I know in my heart that they will answer to Him. And that gives me comfort. You know, I'm not a person to wish
it
bad
does
on
me too.
anybody, but it brings me comfort to know that their their day will come.
And with the karma that has happened to all of them, um,
Well, you know,
I
even
mean,
after, I'm like this, you know, I don't wish bad on anybody. I don't. I don't have a mean bone in me. I don't wish any harm to anybody. And I know that I'm probably going to die one of these days and never know what truly happened to my dad. But the only comfort that I do get is knowing that they will answer to God. They will answer for that. They can get forgiveness for it, but they will answer to Him. You don't just take a life. You don't do that. I mean, it took
I
somebody
agree.
that was cruel and cold to stand there and do that. I mean, shoot a man close to his face and then go home and go to bed. And they said that's what Marlowe did.
Yeah. And the thing that's got me is I look at this picture right here, and I'm going to show it. That right there is my daddy and my Uncle Ball. And I can look at that and see how happy they look in this picture. Me and me and Lori was talking about it before this live started. They're even slanted the same way. Um, Dad was taller than him, of course, but they were happy in this picture, and that's the Uncle Ball I knew. Okay, the one that bought me candy at Suge's store, that nicknamed me and my sister Susie Cube. because we wanted barbecued chips and that little girl that's on the bag in front of that big cooking pot. Her name was Susie Q, evidently. Um, he the last time I seen him and Dad was skinning turtle, and to skin a turtle, you cut its head off. You put the water hose in it. If anybody's seen it happen, but the head was laying there, and I guess me and my little bare feet was getting too close to it. And Uncle Ball took a stick and he said, "Better watch out, Susie Q. It can still bite you." And he stuck that stick in that turtle's mouth and it clamped down on it. Well, me being the little girl that I was, little country tomboy is what I was, I picked up the stick and it became a sword for about an hour. Um, but that's the memories that I'll carry to my grave. Um, I loved him. I was 8 years old, and obviously this never left me. It never left me. And I know, because I mean, even the stories that my daddy has told me, the one thing that he loved was his girl.
You
You're
know
the
what,
only girl,
Phil?
ain't you, Lori?
I am, yes. You know, what hurts me the most is the justice system failed my dad. They failed poorly and miserably. And it that's, we're supposed to have we have a justice system for a reason. And they failed him. It's like he didn't matter at all. And
That's
that,
how I
that
felt
is,
reading that.
that's a scary feeling to know that, we have a justice system that's supposed to protect us, that's supposed to get justice for us. And they failed. I mean, you can look at all of this. And I've watched the podcast. I have read the testimony. They failed miserably.
Yes.
I mean,
Yeah,
how
they
do
have.
you do that? How in the world do you screw up something so bad? I mean, I don't have words. I just don't. I'm like you. I don't have words. I can't. I'm angry. I'm hurt. Um, it's took me years to even. And Crystal and I had scheduled this before, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
And I mean, I completely understand because he was my uncle, but he was your father. And if the roles was reversed, and I mean, I know you love my daddy. I know you love my daddy. But I don't
Absolutely.
know if I could do that. And I commend you for being able to share with everybody how this affects you 37 years later. Because it's not fair. It's not fair that your kids didn't get to know their papa. It's not fair that at, what was he, 50, 56 or 54, his life was taken. I mean, when he should have been able to just sit back, retire, not worry about things. Um,
But Crystal told my dad because I knew, I just knew it. The situation that he was in with that woman. Every day I worried because I felt like he was in a bad situation, that something bad was going to happen, that it was just going because, she had him arrested a few times and it just kept escalating with them too. It just, the more they drank, the more they wanted to fight. And I mean, that's all they did. I mean, I seen times where she would just, she would hit him and she would come outside. She would be unclothed. She would be screaming. She would be just, just the things that I saw. I knew that something eventually was going to happen. I begged my dad. I begged him. And,
You
I
know,
guess,
Daddy, Daddy told Uncle Ball that if he didn't leave that woman, that she would end up the death of him. And I said last night in my live that, in my opinion, and I feel this way, he trusted the wrong people.
yeah.
He had the wrong friends. This is something that I want people to see.
Well, if he had just,
This,
he had a beautiful wife and he had us, and I just don't understand why he chose to go to that type of life. You know,
for
my
the life
mom,
of me, I don't either. Your
my
mom was
mom
awesome.
was my mom was the best, the most amazing person that anybody. I mean, I know everybody thinks their mother is, but my mother was special. I mean,
Oh,
her heart, 15 kids, 15. I have 15 brothers and sisters, and she loved each and every one of us. And she worked hard, and she took care of him just like she did us. But I don't understand how life can be sometimes. I know he he wanted something different, and that eventually led to his demise. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if our lives are planned out before we know what's going to happen to us in life, but I've always heard a saying that you can shorten your days by your doings.
that's actually Bible.
And sometimes I think that's true.
Okay, on the screen, it's showing stuff that was recovered. It's property. Um, this first one is the evidence. It's a brown disc wad. We didn't see a picture of a brown disc wad. And a brown wad disc. I don't know if there's a difference. That kind of sounds like the same thing, but there's two of them. We didn't see a picture of that. A gray metal shot. We didn't see a picture of that either. Said there was several. That's what it's marked right here. Several.
A gray shot of what?
A gray metal shot is what it's showing, and I mean we didn't see that. I'm assuming that that's shots. I like in the a 20 gauge. From my understanding, when you shoot it, the gun open, the pellets open up, and it's like several shots. So that's what I'm assuming, that they're saying that. But my point is, we didn't see a picture of that. Mangle gray plastic shot protector fragment. We didn't see a picture of that. Why? Then, let me see here. KSP Crime Lab Post. were recovered. Marlo Brock's vehicle, Nan Riley Cemetery. So this is where they found these things. One rolled cigarette. We didn't see that. Kentucky State Police evidence envelope containing suspected tobacco particles. Well, we didn't see that either. Was destroyed by burning at the KSP firing range by Officer McKnight. It looks like Tim. I don't know. Then this, the owner, Marlo Brock. Where was it recovered? Marlo's residence and vehicle. A pair of men's trousers, green in color. Skirts, and then it's got something marked out here.
Did those pants didn't look green to me, did they? You?
No, they didn't. No,
They
look like
a pair of jeans.
Yep.
What color were those pants that he had on in his picture with the mustache that you were talking about?
They were green, but they were checkered. I mean, like checkerboarded.
Yeah, but they were green. So we didn't really get a picture of
those either, but I imagine he changed. Men's short sleeve t-shirt, brown in color. We did see that. I think that's what was laying in the front seat of his car. Then this is owner Marlo Brock. Recovered various locations. Well, spent 20 gauge shotgun shell, 5-shot yellow. Spent 20 gauge shotgun shell, 5-shot yellow. So was there 2? Item number 1, 2. Okay. Was there supposed to be 2 of them? Because we just seen a picture of 1. Empty 16-ounce Budweiser can. Empty 12-ounce Budweiser can. Half case. Yellow cigarette lighter. Destroyed empty 16-ounce Budweiser can and the yellow cigarette lighter and at KSP firing range by, again, it's Officer McKnight.
Why was that stuff destroyed?
That's my point. That's my point. Not only was the gun destroyed, but every piece of evidence in his case, they burned and destroyed at KSP firing range. 20 gauge Remington Winchester Model 870 shotgun pump action. We did not see that. Was that returned? Knoxville, Tennessee. So that's the one that they saw. This is not the gun that is being described. The gun we saw in those photos is not a pump. 20 gauge Remington Winchester Model 870 shotgun pump action, blue in color, wooden stock wrapped with black electrical tape, no firearm, barrel length 12.5 inches. That is not the picture that they took up.
No. Oh my God.
That is not what we saw.
Crystal, you need to call the State Police Post Monday and read them that and tell them, hey, we did not get a picture of this gun.
I will, because this is ridiculous. This right here is not what they gave a picture of.
This is an entire different gun. That's an entire different gun they're trying to show here. Wow.
Yeah, it looks like they destroyed it without taking a photo. That is so ridiculous. Let me see here. Cigarette butt, Marlboro brand, empty 16-ounce Budweiser case destroyed at KSP firing range by Officer McKnight. He sure likes destroying stuff, don't he? Vehicle 1978, make Dodge, the VIN number. Driver Otis Abner. Was vehicle drivable? Yes. Color white and blue. Let me see here. Were recovered
I have no
Oxmith
words.
resident.
The more I read, the more
This
aggravated
is
I get.
ridiculous. One Remington slug shotgun shell, 6-shot, 16 gauge contain. Where did they find this at? This is a different vehicle. Abner's vehicle.
They found what now?
Okay. It says owner, Otis Abner, deceased. 1 Remington slug-shot shotgun shells, 6-shot, 16 gauge containing 16 live rounds. So it was just the bullets.
Mm-hmm.
Destroyed at KSP firing range by, guess who? Officer McKnight. Hold on just a second. Well, my kids come in just a second.
Makes me wonder who ended up with Dad's gun.
Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. So this tells me he had a 16 gauge shotgun. So where was it?
Mm-hmm.
It tells me he had a gun with him. He had the shells there. Where is it?
Well,
Where's
that tells
the gun?
me that he did not borrow anybody's gun. He had his
No.
own.
Now, the next thing that they found in the trunk of that, it says in the trunk of Abner's car, was green plant material being suspected material. And I'd say they didn't lie about this one because they said that they destroyed it by burning at the KSP firing range. I'd say they did. That's what it was. I'd say they smoked it right there. And I'm sorry, but that makes me mad because I'm not an officer. I'm not a detective. In no way am I a specialist. But if I find shotgun shells in somebody's vehicle, I'm going to assume there was a gun there to go with it. I'm going to know.
Is there dates on when these were destroyed?
Yeah. 7/12 of 89.
Had the second trial taken place?
It was in process because that's in July.
So they destroyed this stuff even before the second trial was taken up.
That is what it looks like. Just a second here.
Mm.
Can you all still see my screen? Me scrolling through all these papers? Okay. Let's see here. Because
they sure wanted rid
first of all, if you can wrap your head around the fact that nobody has done time for Uncle Ball's murder, then explain, if you can think about this, why this happened. Order for destruction of weapon. Due to the fact that the above named defendant, Marlo Brock, was tried and found not guilty by a jury in the Knox Circuit Court on July the 10th, so they did it the very day, through July the 12th of 1989, and that one Remington Winchester Model 870 sawed-off shotgun serial number, and that's what it was introduced into evidence and is now in the possession of Evelyn Green. I don't know why that would ever happen either. Court reporter, Division 1, and since said shotgun is an illegal weapon and cannot be returned to the parties, it hereby orders that Kentucky State Police take possession of the said weapon from Evelyn Green and destroy same in the manner prescribed by statute. It is further ordered that the Kentucky State Police shall notify this court of the manner and date of the destruction of said weapon. This the first day of August. So it was all that other stuff was destroyed before the gun was. Why are you getting rid of evidence when nobody has been found guilty?
Why are you getting rid of a gun that doesn't look sawed off to me?
The gun
I
they
mean, the
showed
gun
us in
in
these
that
photos
picture,
is not a sawed-off shotgun.
it absolutely is
No.
not. That's very conflicting. It's not. I mean,
Yeah, Sunday Doodles, that's what they were saying. They destroyed it because it was illegal, because it was sawed off. But the gun that we saw in the crime scene photos, that's not a sawed-off shotgun. So why was there a picture not made of the weapon that murdered him? Because there is nothing in my heart or in my mind that tells me the gun we saw is the gun they used.
I don't know. I'm frustrated. It's such. Uh, if
Nicole
they call that
says,
justice,
16
I don't want
kids,
no
that
part of
makes
it.
me. That's me. I mean, it ain't justice. Um, what is something that you would like to see come from this, Lori? At the very
First and
least, and at
foremost, the very most, I want to know who pulled that trigger. I want to know, without a doubt, which one of those people, or if all three, were in on this. I want to know that. I mean, it's. Do you know how many scenarios that I have run through my head in all these years? I mean, it's like hardly a day goes by that I don't think about it and try to. I'm like, well, maybe this happened, or maybe that happened, or it happened this way, or it happened that way. I mean, that's what I'd like to know the most. Second of all, is I'd like to know why our justice system failed him. I mean,
I
why?
agree.
That was basically an open and closed case. I mean, you had three people. Yeah, of course, if two of those people gang up and say, hey, this one done it, most likely the court system's going to believe those two people. They're going to make it simple on themselves. And they shouldn't. But even during the trial, when you're choosing a jury, I mean, I've sat on juries, federal jury, and the questions and things that they asked me is, I mean, I'm sure it was different back then, a lot different. But
Oh,
how can you let
I've got that
somebody
too.
can you let somebody sit there that they had to have known when he robbed that beauty salon? Everybody in that small little town knew that guy owned that. So how did they
Yes.
sit there and let him just stay on there? I think that was planned, in my opinion.
But even and if we want to talk about jury selection in the second trial, there was a couple people that were even kin to Marlowe that sat on that trial.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
knew him. They knew him real
absolutely.
good.
Yeah. And
Um,
I would like to
some
see,
questions
you
that
know, I'm really angry at the justice system. I really am. So
and you,
they should be held accountable for their negligence in some possible way.
I think you got a civil
I mean,
action, in my opinion, um, because this case was not handled properly, and I don't. In no way do I want to be disrespectful, but everything that I read, it's almost like they blowed it off as him being a drunk, and nobody's going to care. Well, they're wrong
well,
because
I really don't think it
his
was
family
that.
cared.
I think it was just something they tried to really rush through and get done and be done with it. Hey, I've got my man, I've got it's an open and shut case because they brushed right
Yeah, the
through it.
judge. Yeah, the judge thought that they could do that case in one day. Do you remember me
Exactly.
reading that?
I do.
And
Absolutely. Yes.
he thought in one day capital murder case could be tried. Um, everything. I mean, there's a lot of testimony I haven't got to read through on here, but
This
one of
should have
them's
been at
Marlowe's.
least premeditated. This should have been premeditated murder. They plotted and planned that. There's no doubt in my mind. I believe that with all that I am, that it was planned. It was plotted. It was planned out.
I think instead of ever listening to what Jeff and Jean said, this is just how I feel. I think that they should have charged whoever pulled the trigger, and they should have investigated it to see who did it. Uh,
Well,
with murder,
they had
and the other
fingerprints.
two should have been accomplice. What is the word, Crystal? Pronounce it. Accomplices,
Yeah.
because they left that scene. They took a shower. They
Yeah.
talked amongst themselves, and then let somebody else call the law. And the law, personally, when I say call the law, they called his phone.
Well, they said at 10:45 they showed up at Robert's house, correct? Well, according to the
Yep.
police officer,
And
he didn't get the call till 11 something. So, and why did they not take
and
his jeans clothes? Why?
why didn't they take all of them? They should have took Jean's
Yeah.
clothes. They should have took Jeff's clothes. They should have took instantly checked them for um, gunpowder residue,
They
especially
left the
Jean,
scene.
because
They
she's the
left the
one that said that
scene.
she hadn't shot a gun.
Washed, they left the scene. They washed evidence away. I mean, they lied over and over before finally they got some kind of story straight. I mean, I don't know. I'm just, ugh.
And they knew they were lying. The police knew they were lying. But yet they still let them on a stand. They all should have been charged. I think the Commonwealth also dropped the ball big time because they let an IRS investigator who happens to know Marlowe's family give his testimony. Now, keep in mind, Marlowe gets to sit in this courthouse the whole time, unlike the people that was subpoenaed, like Lori, my dad, and other people that never took the stand. But Marlowe
We
got to
had to
sit there and
we
listen
had
to
to
an
sit
IRS
outside.
lady read, but Marlowe didn't. And he got to sit there and listen to that IRS investigator read what he said to her to recant his story. And then next, who takes the stand? Marlowe Brock with amnesia. So I think they're all three guilty because I think all three of them were in on it. I don't think nobody was took by surprise. I
That's
think
my
Jeff kept
opinion.
Marlowe busy all day long. I think Jeff kept Marlowe busy all day long. And I think somebody else stole Marlowe's marijuana. Maybe the other two brothers. I don't know. But I think Jeff was with Marlowe to keep him busy all day long. And then they made it look like
Well,
Uncle Ball done it.
they knew if they told Marlowe if it was his marijuana, and if they told him that Dad stole his marijuana, they knew he would do something. They knew it. But,
And in the
you
words
got
of
to look at it like this too, Crystal. Whenever Marlowe was released, they all went about their lives. They seen one another. That's what got me too. You know, I think
so they did.
if Marlowe had been the one that pulled the trigger and Gene and Jeff ratted him out, I don't think they would have had that type of relationship after.
See, I didn't know they did because, well, I was kind of sheltered from that. You know what I mean? Like I told you earlier, when Dad talked, it was very, very small little gems you knew to pay attention because it wasn't something that my daddy talked about every day. It brought
Well, I
anger
mean,
into him.
I never heard anything after that. I mean, not one word that was said. Marlowe apparently, I mean, it was all over. You never heard anybody talk about it then. I would be,
After Marlo,
knowing Marlowe the way that I did, I would have thought that he would be seeking revenge.
you would think. If somebody tried to set me up for murder, I can't say that I wouldn't.
So I don't know. Like I told you earlier, this was plotted and planned and premeditated, and the justice system played right into it. So that's what I'm angry about. That hurts me because we should be able to rely on that, whether we have anything else. I mean,
Absolutely.
and if you can't
Lori,
trust,
I want to ask you something because, and there's a reason, um, because there's a lot of cases that we see, everybody in the chat sees every day, various ones where people just automatically want somebody to be tried. We know in this case, Marlo was tried,
yes.
found guilty the first time, then because of a technicality, got another trial, and then double jeopardy won't let you be tried again. Um, what would you say to people that want cases rushed and people put on stand?
Don't
Because I
ever
think
rush.
it's a big mistake.
I don't think something this, I mean, someone's life, you don't rush that. My dad was killed September 10th. They had his trial in November. What is that? A little over a month?
2 months, a little over a month.
I mean, that's too fast. That's too fast to get it all together. I mean, Don't. No, nothing like that should be rushed. Nothing. That,
I absolutely agree with you because I I mean, me and Lori's first cousins. The pain I can hear in her voice, but I'm sure those of you that don't even know her can hear it in her voice. A lot of times we desensitize ourselves by hearing so many cases, but this is somebody's dad, and it affects people's lives. Whoever pulled the trigger ruined their life and hers.
my babies never knew their grandfather. They never got a chance to. You know,
How old was
I don't
Otis
understand.
when Uncle Bob?
Geez, I'll have to think, Crystal.
I know he was young
He was
because I know
he
there
was
for a
really
while he
young.
stayed with
I was only 22. So he is 40.
he's just a little bit he was a little bit younger than Angie.
Yeah.
Angie was 4 years older than me. I'm
I'm
45,
sorry. I
so
have so many siblings. I don't know all their
I'd say
birthdays.
he's about 47, but he would have been like a teenager then
Yeah.
because I remember him staying at the house, and I mean, he's like a brother.
Yeah.
He was like a brother to me. You know where Mama lived from us. Uh, I'll never forget it. It's a memory that I'll carry throughout my life. But he was combing his hair, and Mommy heard him. He looking in that mirror. He said, "I look like Elvis." Mama said, "Well, Elvis, I need you to go over to Mommy's and get me some flour." he, he jumped. He jumped. He didn't know nobody was standing at the door. But I mean,
Mm,
we growed up together. We was at the house quite a bit.
yeah.
Uh,
All in all, it's my childhood wasn't that bad. It we had our times and we had our moments. Growing up back then was hard. And dad, he was an alcoholic, and that made things worse. But still, yet, I mean, what gives them the right to be a judge and a jury? They don't have the right to judge my dad, or no one has the right to judge anyone. We don't.
exactly.
You know, they
You're
took his life.
absolutely right.
I mean, one of those people, or all three of those people, took his life. They decided that they were going to be judge and jury, and that, they decided his life needed to end. And what gave them the right? It makes no sense to me. I will never, ever understand it. I don't.
The picture that I
And
have
I
on the
pray to
screen
God,
now is
I pray to God that I never have to have our judicial system. I pray that I don't ever have to have them in any form of my life, if that's how it works.
uh, yeah, me too. And I mean, I hate to say it, but these files and stuff like that, it's hurt me when it comes to trust in law enforcement now because, as an average citizen looking through just the transcripts, these nature photos that they decided to send to us,
Hmm.
and that's about what it is. I mean, it's scary. It's scary, and it bothers me because that should have been an open and shut case. On the screen right now is a picture of Lori's mom and dad. And back then everybody didn't have a camera. I can remember mom saying somebody would come around every now and then and take a picture of people. And I'm wondering, was that what this picture was? But again, look how happy they look there.
I don't know.
I wonder what they were thinking. But it makes me wonder what they were thinking
Well,
there. But looked
it
like
makes
Uncle Ball
me
was a laugh.
it makes me think, I think like this. You know, Jean got to see her grandchildren, you know, her kids. Marlo, I think he got married, and I don't know if he had kids, but he had a family.
Had stepkids.
Yeah. And
I got in a
Jeff,
fight with one of
he had kids. He got to have kids. He gets to see his grandchildren now. Yeah, he had an accident, and his quality of life is not good from what I can
oh
understand. And I never
yeah.
wished anything bad on him or any of them. And God knows that. And I hate it. I do. I hate it. I hate for anybody. I still have compassion, but my kids didn't get to know him. They didn't get to have a grandfather. He could have made his life better. Maybe my kids could have made his life better, made him better. He wasn't given a chance to be. So,
I look at this picture, and again, him and Dad look so happy, and they had a hard life. They did. At a young age. It started at a young age. I mean, when you think of Christmas morning, you think of going down and opening your presents. Well, my daddy found his mom dead under a Christmas tree. His dad was in prison at that time. Um,
who's Sunday
but they
talking
still
about?
pulled together. Let me see.
I'm sorry.
Sunday. Have you ever reached out to him over the years? Have you ever reached out to Marlo over the years?
I did. I asked him to his face. I did. He said no. He told me he did not. He told me that Jeff did. Have I ever reached out to Jeff or Jean? No. Because I knew I wouldn't get an honest answer. Have I reached out to
Yeah, the
Jeff?
one.
No.
No.
Jeff was injured, and he's a paraplegic now. As far as I think, isn't
Lightning
that right?
actually struck. Yeah, lightning actually struck a tree, according to the article in the paper, and the tree fell on him.
So, no, I haven't. I just, I don't know. I think, the life that he's living is sad enough.
I know one thing. I think that he would be very, very proud of you. I think he'd be very proud of his granddaughters. And because now, when I tell you this woman right here can sing, she can sing, and she passed it right on to her kids. Um,
You're sweet.
I don't think none of the boys sing, do they, Loretta?
Well, Chester
Do
loves
any of your
to,
brothers?
but he can't. Bless his heart. He tries.
Well, David likes to too, but he ain't much at it. He's he ain't too good, but he enjoys it.
Yeah.
But
I don't do it much anymore myself. I
well,
don't
that's a
know.
shame because you've got a beautiful voice.
Well, my daughters do.
She act
I listen to them now. So,
she was actually offered, was it a contract one time, Loretta,
mm, yes,
to sing? And
yes.
Uncle Ball wouldn't let her. He didn't want his
Mm.
daughter that far away, I guess. But she's really good, y'all.
Well, I was young.
One question that was asked in the chat last night, and I mean, I answered it last night, but I'm going to ask you: do you think? Because I know there's going to be other people wonder too. Do you think that
Sorry.
there would have been any reason? Oh, you're fine. Any reason that somebody like law enforcement or anybody else that Ball would have known something that they needed to silence him?
You know, I don't. I mean, my dad had been in trouble. Yeah, he went to jail because she had him arrested a couple times, but there is no reason that I could think of that. My only scenario is it's possible that there was a marijuana patch. Brian, hey Crystal, I gotta go. Somebody's outside my window.
Okay, honey, I love you and thank you for coming on.
I love you too.
Take care of yourself. I'll message you in a couple of days. Okay. Can y'all still hear me? If you don't care, put some hearts in the chat. I know that was not easy for her. But I think that it was very brave of her to come on and share what it's like 37 years later after losing her father. I can't imagine. I mean, my dad did drink. My dad was an alcoholic for years also, but my dad was never a mean alcoholic. He had a chance to later on in life change his life and get saved, and he didn't drink right up. And I mean, the good Lord took it from him. Are you gonna? I can do that, Josh. I can do that. I'm going to briefly drop a link in case anybody wants to come up and share their thoughts on tonight's live. Maybe you have an opinion about, maybe there's something that you see in those crime scene photos or that you've heard in the podcast that you have an opinion on. Um, but keep her in your prayers, you all. Keep her in your prayers. What I gather from this, and I think that it is amazing, that even though these people took her dad from her, she still does not hold any animosity. She doesn't wish no harm. She just wants answers. And that's how I feel. All I want is answers. Um, I've never been able to let go of this. It was my first experience with death, and for it to be murder as an 8-year-old kid, that really left something on me that I never was able to completely understand. Um, I appreciate that, Duchess. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Like I said before, the night before that Uncle Ball died, and I feel I'm going to give this before I get off here. The night before Uncle Ball died, I woke up. I was having a horrible, horrible nightmare, and woke up screaming, cold sweats, crying. And I told my dad, and I can remember this dream, and I'm 45 years old, just like I would have had it yesterday. Um, I told my mom and dad my uncle was dead, and I couldn't go back to sleep. In my dream, it was a different uncle, but he had wrecked a motorcycle, and I mean, you could see his head everywhere. And in my dream, my grandmother said, "Don't call the ambulance because they'll pronounce him dead." That dream stuck with me. It scared me to death. Refused to go back to sleep because of the dream, and my dad said, "Let's just let her stay home from school." My brother and my sister got on the school bus. Evidently, my uncle, my dad's other brother, had stopped the school bus and got my brother off. But my aunt came from next door. Back then, you drew water from a well with a bucket, and hers had come off the line. And she came over and she said, "There's been a shooting on Nan Riley graveyard." She said they didn't give no names, but they said they would have more information at 8. And she left, and she had not even made it home. You could still see her walking through the field when my Uncle Bill pulled in the driveway, and my brother was in the vehicle. And he said, "Duck, we need to go to Nan Riley because Ball's been shot." And I didn't know what that meant. I didn't really know what death was back then. I didn't know how permanent that it was. But that day will forever be etched in my memory. It will not replace the day that he told me that a turtle will still snap even after its head's been cut off. Now, I know he stuck that stick in that turtle's mouth to keep my little bare toes away from it, but I played with it like a sword. I was a tomboy. Um, I remember that day well, and I'm glad that the last time that I saw Uncle Ball, that was my memory, was a turtle's head and a stick. Thank you so much. Is it Chia? Am I pronouncing that right? I'm. I appreciate it, and I'm sure she does. Yeah, I pay attention to my dreams right to this day because of that. Um, Josh says, "I really love your lives and Dutchies. We can actually help and look into evidence, etc. I miss Arctics a lot and catch replay. I had to too. I appreciate every single one of you for being here, and I know that Lori appreciates it also. Mods, I appreciate how you've kept the chat. Um, I thought for at first we was gonna have some trolls, if you know what I mean, Mr. Nice Guy, but he got took care of. Hello, Chris. Um, I will still continue to cover this because we do still have several testimonies um, on the transcripts to go through if you all are still interested in hearing about it. If so, just leave me a warning chat because, I mean, also hearing Lori tonight, you all got a better understanding of what it was like. One thing that she said that I didn't know was after the trial, they all just went back to normal, like they were friends. Uh, to me, that speaks volumes. I will then. I will. I'll get up with some of my teammates, maybe Dutchie and Allie and Michelle, and see if we can't plan out some of them if they don't care to help me. Because it's easier to understand when you got several people reading. When one person's reading everything that all the people are saying, it kind of runs together. But we will get it figured out. But you all, I always say this, but I'm going to say it a little more earnestly tonight because it has humbled me. Because if I'm being honest, for years, I've kept hatred in my heart towards them. And to be able to hear her say, I wish no harm on them, it really humbles me. It really does. That's a pure heart right there. She's not seeking revenge. She just wants answers. So remember, you all, it takes zero effort to be a good human being. I love you all. Good night.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Yeah, I'm about to fade away, cause every time I wake up I feel like it's Monday. Something's going wrong with all the chemicals up in my brain. All of a sudden I don't look at anything the same way. Gotta build up of my thoughts sitting in an ashtray. I'm sorry that I'm so inconvenient, okay. Just let me be me and I'll stay out of your way. I can see the way you look at me, I'm such a disgrace. I never really asked to be brought into this place. You wanna love me? Well then baby have a taste. All the highs and the lows, no, you'll never be the same. I don't really wanna hurt you, but I can't control the pain. If you're sticking by my side, maybe we could be okay. Okay, maybe you could be the change I need today. I promise that I've never felt this way. I really hope that you will choose to stay through all the pain.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. Guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away, as you fade away.
Like nothing I felt, my mind overwhelmed. I think that I'm broken, but I hope you can't help. I know I'm not perfect, but some days I feel far more worthless. Baby, you make me feel nervous. If I still have you, I have purpose. It's all worth it.
I know you told your friend you're not okay, and tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. I guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue